Hey everybody, it's Kendall Anise for reviews and news. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible because I literally just got in from seeing I Want to Dance with Someone, the Whitney Houston movie. All right, so I was on the fence, wasn't sure if I was going to go see it. Went on a self date. I was like, let me just go to the movies. Before the pandemic, I loved the movies, and I was like, let me just go. So I go, and I didn't know what to expect. I have my notes here, so you'll see me looking down. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was going to happen. And you know that Bobby Brown is my favorite. You know that New Edition is my favorite. I didn't even look to see who was playing Bobby. I didn't want to prejudge it. I wanted to go. And I really didn't even think too much about it. I decided to go and go, right? And then after I did, I was like, should I be here watching this? And as I was watching, I looked up the producers because I was like, certain things are not going right. Certain things in the movie are not, they didn't have any continuity. Certain things I thought, my opinion, were exaggerated and out of turn and order, and certain people were highlighted. I was like, let me see if they're a producer. Yup. Certain people, let me see if they're a producer. Yup. So that's really how it was. So, all right. I Want to Dance with Somebody, Whitney Houston reviews and news. Let's get into it. First, let me say this. Let me go with all the positives first. Naomi Ackie, who is from across the water, she's from London. She played Whitney Houston. Now, she's only 30 years old. If you look at her, you'll be like, she don't look like Whitney Houston, because Whitney Houston was this or that or this or that. She was taller. Her lips were different. Her hair was different. Her complexion was different. Her build was different. Her hands were different. We can go through all the differences. But I will say that Naomi sang her butt off. So in the movie, they had Whitney Houston's voice singing some songs, and they had Naomi singing the majority of the songs. Naomi Ackie. She can sing. She can sang. Like, her voice is powerful and strong, just like Whitney. I'm not saying she sounds like Whitney, but she was carrying those tunes that Whitney sang with power and strength and vocal range and ability. The girl can sing, no doubt. Now, I'm the person who has seen Whitney Houston documentaries, the movies, authorized, and some of the docs that were unauthorized. I couldn't watch because it was this same type of feeding you a narrative type thing. But that let me, or Can I Be Me, that documentary that Whitney, I believe she was a part of. And then of course movies. I've read Bobby Brown's book. I've seen the Bobby Brown story. I have seen the movie where Angela Bassett directed with Yaya DaCosta. I've seen that, and that was a bad choice of Bobby Brown. But I've watched that movie multiple times, so I've seen those things. I've read Robin Crawford's book. I have seen Cissy Houston interviews. So I've seen the story, and I can tell through all of those a thread of maybe what was true and different points as they told the story. But this one was totally different, and a lot of people were highlighted in there, like I said, and I was like, they must be producers. And then I looked at the row of producers. You guys can look them up yourself. And I was like, so do they know the story? Is it being regurgitated? Were they there? The script, where did the script come from? Did it come from the people that know her or the people that were producing it? How? Some of the things that I have read and I have seen over the years were accurate, and they were the same. Some I never seen, right? So it starts off the American Music Awards, and it ends there too. So it starts off then, I think it was 1994, and then it goes to the rec center in Newark, New Jersey, where Whitney Houston meets Robin Crawford. Now, we know the rumors have been out, even Robin Crawford's book, she talks about having a relationship with Whitney. I read that book twice, actually, because I like to really understand to see if I missed anything. And that they had a relationship. Everybody talks about that. So it was kind of no secret. But then in the movie, they went into it. Like they were in a full relationship. This was the first movie I seen where they actually showed it. And I'm not talking about sexual relationships. I'm talking about the chemistry and speaking about it and making it clear that that's what it was. And Whitney responded. And I've read Robin's book, and it was similar. That part was kind of similar to this movie. But you don't see that in the other movies. Bobby touched on it in one of I'm trying to think if that was Angela Bassett's movie, and he talked about the relationship with them, and he's talked about like she would still be alive if Robin was there, and how he's talked about it, contrary to what people think, where they say Robin dogs Bobby and didn't like Bobby because he came in between her and Whitney. Bobby still, I've never seen Bobby disrespect Robin. He spoke highly of her. But in the movies, and I guess when they're together in the ego, it made it seem like it was like her or me, pick one. And even kind of, it did that in Whitney Houston's documentary, Can I Be Me? Because that was something that she always said. So it did show. So that's across the board where Robin and Bobby bumped heads by being a husband and being the best friend, and we already know, right? So I'm gonna quickly go through this because I don't want this to be too long. So I believe that there were a lot of creative liberties in this movie, and I'm gonna say that. Don't know how much was true, how much wasn't, but I can tell you I left the movie feeling uneasy. I left the movie feeling like, I don't know, I just didn't feel right. Certain movies you go to, it's just like an uneasiness, not the fact that she passed away, because of course we know that. But I'll just skip real quick. It ends with Whitney's voice, what Naomi doing Whitney's voice when she did the compilation where she did the songs for the American Music Awards, where she tore it down. She sang, I'm telling you, I have nothing. And she sang part of Porky and Bess. I believe that's what it was. And her Whitney's voice, and just hearing it resonate. And they showed signs like in the bathroom and different things like that. Well, I'll go through that. I just don't want this to be too long. So let me just go. But I felt uneasy when I left the theater. So it starts in 1980. It goes back to 1983 when she joined Clive on the Merv Griffin show. That was her first appearance on TV. And she sang Home. Stephanie Mills, when I think of home, I think of a place from The Wiz. And she tears it down. So we know the footage where she had the purple off the shoulder, almost like this. And she had her hair like little curled and kind of short, but the combs were here to kind of push it in. I will say this about the movie, another great positive part of this movie. They were great in recapturing the moments. So when Whitney was on Merv Griffin and she had the purple and the hair, knocked it out. When she did the Spangled Banner at the Super Bowl, the look was perfect. Like every look, the videos, how will I know video in this movie? Perfect. I mean, they nailed it. They must have had the videos side by side. I mean, they nailed even the small nuances, like the jewelry and how it was and how she held her fingers and how she had her hair and this little whisk. I mean, they knocked that out the park. So whoever did that, whoever recreated the looks, bravo. You did a fantastic job. So they had in 1983 and Merv, and then how her mother Sissy was like, this piano was going too slow, and she was in the back um, directing the choir, if you will, in the back to get that right. But I was in the movie theater and I went by myself, and you can do stuff like this when you're in a movie by yourself. I was pulling up my phone. I wanted to look at I wanted to compare, you know what I mean? I wanted to look at what she looked like in 83 and what they recreated to the T. Videos again, but her vocals, Naomi Aki, was amazing, and she does a great job recapturing the essence of Whitney. Like, even when I saw the movie with Yaya DaCosta, she got a lot of the ways and the mannerisms down. Even with oh, my girl Gabrielle Dennis, where she was in the Bobby Brown story, is Whitney. She got the nuance of Whitney down. So all these different portrayals of Whitney. But this one, Naomi had the best voice. And I know with Angela Bassett's version that she directed of the Whitney story, Deborah Cox did all the vocals. And I love Deborah Cox, right? And Deborah Cox's voice is phenomenal. We know that. But this Naomi, that's something about that strength of that Whitney's. She had it. It goes into the issues that Whitney had with her dad. We know that he was suing her on his deathbed, and he was taking her money, and he wasn't. We've heard all of that before. So they showed that a lot, and how her dad was running the company thinking it was his. Like, they really focused on that part too. And they focused on, you know, him having little women hanger-ons at the company, Nippy Inc., and how he passed out credit cards to every employee. He had the private jets, and he was going through her money, and she got the books from Pat Houston, who was one of the producers in this, and she was also featured in the movie. Pat Houston was saying, oh, your dad been doing this, and showing her the books and all of that, and she confronted her dad. And how her dad was like, look, you and Robin, how y'all together, you can't be doing that no more. Y'all need to be taking pictures with men, because nobody needs to see y'all like this. And I know, you know, based off of what y'all saying and what's going on, I know what's up with you and Robin, Nippy, but you're going to have to nip that in the bud, because we need you seen with men. And then they fast forward when she did the duet on her first album with Jermaine Jackson, and how they showed that Robin went off when she found out that she just met Jermaine Jackson, and she slept with him. And she was like, but wait a minute, I thought we were going to pretend and take pictures with guys, but I didn't know you were going to go into bed with the guys. And Robin, they showed her like go off. And Whitney was like, you know, God doesn't believe in this, and I want to have a family. I want to have children. You know, it doesn't change anything. You're still my best friend. And they showed them go through those emotions. And I know that Robin talks about this in the book, but it wasn't displayed in the book like it was displayed in the movie. But I know some of those parts seem to be consistent with what we've heard. And sidebar, I wish they just let Whitney rest. We don't need to see another story. We really don't. We need to just let her rest. We don't need to see another Whitney Houston movie. I'm not sure what made them decide to put this out. That's why I was kind of torn whether I was going to see it. But I just believe that they just really need to let her rest. If you want to go see it for yourself, this is not a video saying see it or not. You guys do what you do. I'm just telling you, I saw it today, and I honestly could have gone without seeing it, because something just was left in my chest after seeing this movie. And it's not because they disrespected Bobby Brown to the utmost. They made him look like a complete monster in this movie. And some of the stuff, even how they got engaged, how she found out certain things with Bobby, and how none of them were cohesive to all the other documentaries and the stories that I've seen. But they really, I believe, disrespected Bobby in this movie. And the biggest way that they disrespected Bobby is they had Homeboy from, I don't know, I love the movie. Wu-Tang and American Saga. You know the guy that played RZA, Ashton Sanders? They had him as Bobby. No diss to him. He has an accent also. His accent was coming through. He didn't have the swag, the energy, the vibe that Bobby did. Now you think about back then, because even Bobby got it now to this day, but even back then he had it. And Ashton wasn't giving what he was supposed to give. Not just because he didn't look nothing like him. They looked like they just threw outfits on. Like, yeah, Bobby would have wore that, put that on. Bobby would, and it just, they gave him a fake gap. You could clearly see it was a fake gap. Like, it was just rusty and raggedy. Like, they just didn't even care what they did with Bobby. They just threw it up in there. And that's how I feel that they did that. And I was mad about that. They told the story wrong, even how they got engaged, how she found out that his ex Kim was pregnant, that they, just how they did it. Even with us hearing that Bobby broke the relationship off because Whitney wouldn't, get help, and he had gotten help and all of that. They showed Whitney at a bar putting a ring on saying, "I'm done with you, Bobby," and all of that. Even like, you can tell a different story and you can put your twist on it. But I believe, I don't know for true, I wasn't there, but there's certain things that are true and certain things that aren't. So certain things that are consistent with other things that we've seen. But this one seemed like, once again, it was a lot of creative liberties. But I just didn't like the fact that they portrayed him. Like, I really was going to get up and leave. I'm not even going to lie. When he first came to the screen and he was playing Bobby, he's not even a dancer. So they didn't even, like Woody, what they did from the New Edition story and the Bobby Brown story, Woody, he was Bobby. The one that the guy that they got in the Angela Bassett one, But Woody, he did the best Bobby. He was a dancer first, and then he learned to act. He had all the nuances of Bobby. This, they just was like, he's dark skinned, brown like Bobby. He's thin like Bobby used to be back then. Let's just put him in there. We just gonna put him in there. We don't need to really cast Bobby that well. Let's just put him in there. That's how I feel like they did. And it was disrespectful on so many levels. Even making him look like a monster. And even just retelling these same old stories, even about Whitney. Like, they just to rest. You know what I mean? And Nefessa, I like her as an actress. She played Robin. Y'all remember her in Black Lightning, and she was in some BET Christmas movies as well. And she did a good job. But I don't know. Clive was in this a lot, and he was one of the producers. Like, they focused on Clive a lot, and maybe their relationship a lot, and conversations that he and Whitney had a lot. Like, Clive was in this a lot. This is the most that I've seen Clive Davis in any movie. And he even talked about how because Whitney was like, "Who's that?" And he was like, "You know who that is." Like, he even displayed, his sexuality in the movie. And Clive was one of the producers, so you can't be a producer and not okay certain things. But it's just, see it if you want to. Come up with your own opinion. I'm not telling you to don't see this or see this. I'm just telling you my opinion, what I feel, what I've seen, what I've noticed, and you take it upon yourself. I just know when I left the movie, I left with kind of like a pit in my stomach. They even show, Grammy weekend when Whitney passed away. They focused on the bath when she was putting, when her and Bobby Christina were in the hotel room, and just sad. When Bobby and Christina and her in the hotel room, she was like, "All right, get ready for tonight, baby." And we've heard these stories also. And then it showed that she went downstairs and saw her connect. And they showed the bathtub, but they didn't show any explicit anything. But they, gave the idea of what we already know. And how Whitney was nervous that her voice, because this is when she was getting all the pushed back, like her voice ain't what it used to be. She can't sing no more and all of that. So it showed that Whitney was very insecure about that and really feeling it. And she felt like she didn't still have it, even though she went on Oprah and sang, I didn't know my own strength. They showed that clip again. Whoever did the wardrobe, the hair, and the recreations of Whitney's look nailed it again. I'm telling you, that was one of the most impressive things of this movie, is how they were able to recreate Whitney's looks. Phenomenal job. Naomi did a phenomenal job in her singing and everything. I understand why they picked her, because I'd never heard of her, and I was like, And I want to go back and listen to Jamel Hill's podcast. She interviewed her, and I like that podcast, but I want to hear more of her story and how she got it. But she was shocked that they asked her to play. But her voice, man, oh man, and the recreations of everything, you could still hear her accent because she's from London. You could still hear a little piece of her accent too. I'm not sure who did all of the casting. Look it up on Google, look up the producers, look up. I know that they spent $45 million on this movie. That I do know. Let me see something. Let me see something. Casey Lemons directed it, a Black woman director. Y'all remember that movie? What was that? Daughters of the Dust? What was that? No, Eve's Bayou. I think she directed that in my movie Talk to Me. She directed that as well. And a lot of other Black nativity. So a Black woman directed it. The director, the producers, there were several producers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 producers. And then a slew of executive producers. And Naomi, I love that. Great business that she was an executive producer. She played Whitney and she was executive producer. Whoever her agent is, that's a great. Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody. People seem to like the movie. It just came out a couple of days ago. And to celebrate Whitney Houston, people probably love the movie. I've seen on social media that people are having a mixed, they're not sure, they're torn whether they want to see it or not. The music, I was singing the music because everybody loves a Whitney Houston song. The woman was talented. She was freaking amazing. Everybody knows a Whitney Houston song and loves a Whitney Houston song. So that was a beautiful part of the movie. The movie was empty though. It was about, I was by myself. It was two other ladies on the same row. It was two ladies below me, two little white ladies below me, and then it was two Black ladies next to me, and then it was like, and I couldn't see, it was two other people at the top. That was it. And I said that because when they were making Bobby look like a monster, it was like, you heard all the gasping, and you heard a lot of people talking at the movie when it came to certain things, the people that were in there. But just looking at Whitney and, her passing away at 48 and the music. And I just remember when I was in junior high school and Whitney came out and I was in Jersey and she was in Jersey, and just, her catalog, and, she was loved and she's missed, she's missed. So check it out, if you will. Let me know what you think if you've already seen it. And I hope this movie is just about celebrating Whitney Houston. If it's about celebrating Whitney Houston, then I can get with it, because she was a gem and she was a treasure. And if you were wondering about her and Clive's relationship, because we know that Clive Davis was Bobby Christina's godfather, and that she was very close to Clive, and she signed her deal when she was a teenager with Clive. It shows, if you've never known like what their relationship was like, it shows a lot of that. And this is the only movie that I've seen that really focuses on that, and it seemed that he, loved her like a daughter. He told her in the beginning, I don't deal with my artists' personal issues, it's about the music. But he cared about her personally. It showed like he wanted her to go to rehab, he wanted her to, so it showed that he, he did care about her. And clearly, if she made him her daughter's godfather, then she cared about him as well. So Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody. This is Kendall Anise for reviews and news. But they did not have to do my boy Bobby like that. I'm sorry. That button you see right there, that's a subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button, like and comment.